Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is Colt back here with Matt with the Father Son cast, and just want to throw this out there too. Off season, like I said last time, is going to be rough, but the only thing that we're going to be able to cover COD wise is Rostermania, which a lot has happened. I'm actually surprised at how much has happened in the last week than that we recorded. It's actually nuts. But it also doesn't surprise me at the same time because we're franchised now, so things kind of have to happen more smoothly than years past and faster. So it makes sense because there's kind of like a deadline to this stuff now since it's more professional. But yeah, it popped off this week. It popped off. But yeah. Basically what we're going to be doing in this video is going over what's confirmed first and what actually happened that got announced by the teams. And then we'll get into the juicy, roster rumors and stuff like that. So, but first off, I kind of want to start off with Huntsman. They confirmed dropping Alec and Preston. I
And
mean,
Tupac.
yeah, and Tupac, which that one came as I'm not surprised, but it was sad to see Tupac get it. They let him go. Like that was sad. I wish Tupac could have stayed, but I mean, you never know. They could honestly re-sign him, technically
Yeah,
speaking,
I mean they
because
could be renegotiating
yeah,
contract with him,
like
but they just in case they can't, just go ahead and say
yeah,
thank you for
mhm,
everything in case they can't do it. But I mean, you still got a lot of S&D talent, analytically.
yeah. You still got Teddy, and then
You got Teddy.
people let's say people like Blast or something doesn't get a starter spot. They'll probably compete in challengers, but that's always an option for people like Blast too, is to become an S&D analyst for a team because that's where they came from. So yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
But I just want to throw out to the fact too that this is going to be interesting in terms of WrestleMania because, like I said, we're franchised now, so it's going to be a lot more sports related and professional. Because sports do the same thing. They'll say that they've released a player, but they could also bring him back and re-sign them just because they said they let him go. Doesn't mean they can't renegotiate a contract and bring him back. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
works in that aspect. So just because they tweeted out that Tupac's done, they could also be like, okay, we decided to announce it later. They'd be like, okay, we renegotiated, re-signed Tupac. He'll be back again another year. So, but that's just something that we've never seen in COD because obviously we were never franchised. So, but yeah, that just because there's been a mass amount of people players and dropped from a team, and just because they said that they're unrestricted free agents, that doesn't mean that they can't go back to the team that dropped them. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, which is probably why you're gonna see a lot of teams tweet out a lot of players have been dropped as well. But
Right.
either way, Preston and Alec got released, unrestricted free agents. Tupac as well. Um, we'll get into where they're rumored to be going a little later, but yeah, those are though they're confirmed not on the Huntsman anymore. um, we'll just get into. I'm gonna get into Minnesota next because they quite literally dropped their entire roster, including their sub players. Like, there's no one signed to that to that team anymore. They're all
Except
unrestricted free.
coaches.
Yeah, except the coaches
Oh,
are
not
confirmed, but
Yeah.
the coaches never got released. But every player, every player and sub player from that team are gone, which is nuts. But I mean, like I was telling Matt, or like we discussed in the last episode, and even before we recorded the first episode, I told Matt if it goes back to 4v4, which it did get announced that Rostermania was going to be nuts, and it literally is that. It's nuts. But
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many possibilities that can happen of where people can land. I mean, even what me and Colt say might happen. I mean, even though the things we have are pretty solid, I mean, even those may not even be
mhm,
100%.
mhm, it's just nuts. But yeah, Minnesota's completely wiped. They have no players on the team right now. Um,
Gorillas.
Gorillas,
practically did that.
yeah, Gorillas,
Everybody but Vivid.
everybody but Vivid. So Vivid's pretty much confirmed to starter next year on the spot as well.
Shawnee's the only one on London now.
Shawnee's the only one on London. Everyone else is gone. Seattle
Or being
Surge,
renegotiated,
yeah,
possibly.
yeah. But Seattle Surge is also the same thing. Everyone but Octane is gone. Atlanta FaZe hasn't announced anything yet. I think they're the only team that hasn't really announced like a player's been released. But it's rumored right now. I will say that it's rumored right now that Priesta and Major Maniac won't be on the team next year. But they haven't announced it yet. It's not confirmed. But that's the big rumor right now. Dallas, they don't need to say anything because their roster's pretty much already confirmed. Like everyone on the team besides Clay. So, yeah. But who else am I? Toronto Ultra confirmed that Kleenex and Cammy will be on the team, and everyone else was released besides Banson Methods. But Banson Methods are pretty much got confirmed by Toronto today that they're gonna be on the team next year, even though it's not like tweeted out confirmed that
100,
that's
yeah.
the roster. But like they basically without tweeting 100% confirmation, they basically said that's the roster. So Toronto's roster next year is gonna be probably Kleenex, Bance, Cammy, and Methods.
Which, I mean, seeing how they did near the end of the year, which it was a pretty good roster.
No, yeah,
With
I mean,
those four.
it's just gonna be like they're gonna have the same roles they were last year. They're gonna be a sleeper team. They're
Yeah.
not gonna be the favorites ever. They're never gonna be the favorites. They're just gonna be a team that surprises people. you know.
Yeah.
So, Optic, they released everybody but Draza, Kenny, and TJ and Slasher. We don't know what's happening with Draza yet if he's still starting, but he's still technically on Optic. He was not released. He could be a sub for them, which is why they haven't released him. But they released Hollow, Goonjar, Dashi, Cheen, yeah. uh, but yeah. Then I think the last two teams we got to go are Paris. Paris completely dropped everybody. Along with Minnesota, which I'm not shocked that happened either. Florida, the only two people that have like confirmed as of now been released has been Mox and Frosty. That's it. But
and there's also a rumor of Frosty going back to Halo.
Yeah. But as of right now, Florida still technically has Pharaoh, Awakening, and Havoc
Guys.
and Skies. But
I mean, if you're in Florida, you don't let go of Skies.
No, yeah. I mean, who knows where Skies lands, but he'll probably stay in Florida. Yeah. I 100% think the only the player that they're gonna get rid of for sure, Florida next is Havoc. I love Havoc too. It makes me sad, but yeah. He's probably not gonna be. He'll probably not be on Florida, if I'm being honest. And then the last thing we have to go over that's been confirmed 100% is New York. They dropped their subs and accuracy and temp. So yeah. Those are the 100% confirmed things that have happened so far. What we're gonna get into next is the rumored roster. Some of them you can kind of tell are gonna be like 100% a thing. Like, and when I say that, I mean like the Atlanta FaZe rumor is probably gonna be true. Chicago's rumor is probably gonna be true. But the rest of the teams, and like maybe Gorillas is probably gonna be true too. But the rest of the teams are still like anything could happen, realistically speaking, depending on where players depending on where 1 to 2 players sign, then it will like flourish, and have a domino effect.
Yeah.
But the rumored rosters as of right now, Intel Call of Duty tweeted out like a sheet of the rumored rosters as of right now, and some rosters still aren't full, and there's still some players that are kind of negotiating with multiple teams. still, so that's why these aren't 100% confirmed. But yeah, getting into it, this is probably a roster that you're gonna 100% see next year, and I don't think it's not like this should be a roster next year. Is the Atlanta Phases roster? Their rumored roster is Abizi, Simp, Celium, and Arcides. And bro, whoever let this fucking happen, bro, like I, it's just like the Atlanta Phase team last year. Like, like they're gonna be Atlanta Phase is still gonna be a top team. Like, and if it's literally gonna be the same thing, if they're not in the finals of like every event, it's gonna be nuts. Like they should be. You know what I'm saying? That realistically speaking, that roster on paper is fucking disgusting, and you can't let a roster like that happen because it's nuts.
I mean, I still think the top 3 teams are still going to be like really, really, really good. They're
Oh
still going to be
yeah,
like your top 3 teams.
I think your top three teams from last year, just based off rumors, are still gonna be your top three teams this year. No,
Oh yeah,
yeah, like it would be crazy for them not to be top teams. But yeah,
exactly. Especially like with the rumor talent they're like going to be picking up.
that fucking that phase roster, Jesus Christ. But from what I've heard is our cities, like we said before, like players could still technically renegotiate and re-sign with teams even though they've been announced as released. You know what I'm saying? Our cities is definitely not going to be that player for like Chicago, because Chicago when our cities got released, he openly said like, thanks to Chicago for understanding that I want to be a main ER, and when he was teaming with Formal, he couldn't. So that's why he wants to join Atlanta, so he can be a main ER, and so will be his like flex, and then Simp and BZ will be the subs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just that roster is wow. Uh, Jesus Christ. I don't even know what to say besides that. It's literally that roster makes me speechless, and I'm scared for teams that have to play that. Generally, that's
I
nuts.
watched Octane's video and he said because he was doing the same. He was talking about
Yeah, I
teams and
watched the same thing.
he's like if RC goes to phase, he goes low key my team might be fucked.
Dude, it's no it dude. That roster is crazy, bro. Like, wow. Cause like that was the only thing that like FaZe was really missing last year was like a player like Arcides, like a leader or like a person to keep them calm, stuff like that. And Arcides will do that for them. So like,
Mhm.
and
But not
Arcides alone is disgusting too. So
yeah. I was gonna say a lot of people are saying like like before he got released, they're saying if he does go to phase, like what's that gonna do for Chicago? Because he was like the leader of Chicago, and like they're like, who's gonna be the leader of Chicago now?
I think it's like it's gonna be
It's gonna be like
I think it's
probably
gonna be
like
like
It's
Formal
gonna
and
be formal.
Envoy. I think
Yeah.
Formal and Envoy, because Envoy was very vocal on Chicago last year too.
hmm
So I think it's
I
gonna be
think
like a good
now
mix
like
of them.
in this in this point of his career, I think Scum's mainly kind of like being kind of like I am, just like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
a
yeah, but
listen and.
Seth
But I mean, he's
always
still gonna be nasty
yeah
and
no
put input
Seth
in,
Seth,
but
Seth
he's not
always
gonna.
does that. Like he puts like a minimal amount of input. You know what I'm saying? Like he'd
Mm,
be like, I think we should do this, or this is what we're doing wrong, and he'll say that sometimes. But Seth is a player that traditionally he's always been this way. Like he traditionally just shows up and literally just fucking fries on the map, and that's all he needs to do. Literally. Like
yeah.
he's always been that player though. Like he takes constructive criticism, he fixes his mistakes, and he gives his input here and there, but he's not like known to be like the huge vocal leader person. Like he mainly just shows up to scrims, fries, and then fixes his mistakes, and that's that.
Yeah, and that's also the same with Dashy too.
Yeah, Dashy's the same way too. Yeah,
So yeah, I can. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be probably it's gonna be
Envoy and
formal
form.
and envoy,
Yeah,
and it's not gonna.
I
Yeah,
think
like
it's gonna be mostly Envoy to be honest, and he's still relatively new, which is insane. Like Envoy's not like a vet by any means, but like the amount of times that I saw Huntsman scrim last year, and even with his Gen G team and BO4, like when he was making his comeback, he was very vocal, and it shocked a lot of people. So yeah, like Envoy is gonna be like one of those IGL people, definitely further in his career, and he's already doing it
yeah,
now.
it'll
So
probably be. I mean, even when Huntsman did like those listening things, like you saw like formal and envoy both being like the most vocal ones, like in
yeah,
there like S&Ds and stuff like that.
oh yeah, and our like Arcides was probably like definitely the most vocal one, but now that RC's gone, it's definitely gonna be like a combination of Envoy mostly, and then Formal, and then obviously whoever they have as their
The
coach.
other two.
Their coach
Yeah,
is
and
good.
then the other two.
Yeah, and then they're like yeah, I don't know, but either way. But next team, Dallas Empire. We don't really need to get into much because that team is already like Krim, Illy, Shotzi, Hook. That's gonna be the team. Like, and we already know they're the previous world champions, and that team, even without Clay, that team next year is
Gonna be nasty.
still going to be insane. Like, it's not gonna change. They're still gonna be a top team.
Yeah, you got Illy going to your flex.
Yep. Because Illy Illy was kind of like that. Illy was like kind of that person, anyways, on their team. Like they had Clay and Krim as ARs when they went to the 2 AR meta, always. But like on Cave and stuff like that, Illy was the third AR.
And the funny thing is, like when you think about it, like a lot of your people that came from like the S&D scene are have typically gone to flex. Because I mean, if you think about like when they play like S&D tournaments and all that, they're using like every
Every
weapon.
gun, yeah.
They're using subs,
It's
ARs,
like
snipers.
Simp and Abizi are. I mean, you could definitely tell they were sub players. They came from S&D, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they're both really good with like almost any weapon they pick up. Along with Priesta.
Yeah,
Priesta was the same.
yeah.
He's
Priest is nuts.
he's nasty with a
Priest can run
sub
whatever the
and
fuck you want
AR.
him to run.
Hmm.
Like, but either way, the next team is Chicago Huntsmen, the rumored roster right now, which is I'm pretty sure this is going to be the roster. Like, I don't. There's not many other rumors going around, and if there are, it's not as big as this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is probably going to be the roster. Envoy, Scump, Dashy, Formal. Like, bro, I see, and the thing, I like there is a rumor where like a couple players could go to Chicago other than Dashy, but at the same time, it's like I don't really think that's even a viable possibility because I think Dashy fits the Chicago brand better than the other rumored players, if that makes sense. Like Dashy was on Optic last year, and Dashy, like definitely fits like the content, like the old Optic, with Hex and stuff like that. He fits that vibe with Hex and them.
Yeah.
So like Dashy will be perfect on the Huntsman with all
Yeah.
those guys.
And Modern Warfare pretty much got him ready for the flex role.
Oh, I mean,
From being an AR and then going to a sub.
Dashy
And
was always
then
a flex though, regardless though, in my opinion. Like
mm,
he wasn't like Dashy's an AR. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like he used the Maddox in Black Ops 4 too, which is like basically like the
the
do it
do it
all
all weapon.
the do it all AR slash sub. So like
Mm.
yeah, Dashy will be fine. That roster on paper is absolutely fucking disgusting.
I mean,
Like
all three of those teams on paper are all
yeah,
nasty.
they're nasty.
I mean,
This
realistically, and looking at these other teams on paper
I mean,
are not that bad either.
all these
Teams
teams
are
are
that way.
all these
Okay,
teams
except for the
are.
ones with the fucking question marks.
I mean, it's because they're not like 100% still.
Well, yeah, but it's also kind of hard to 3v4. You
But
can't 4v4 with a question mark.
um, let's see. Next is Minnesota. So this one's interesting because this rumor, solely depends on like Priest and Attach because Priest and Attach are rumored to go like multiple places right now. Like Priesta, his biggest rumors right now are Minnesota and Optic, and then Attach also has obviously a rumor to be on Minnesota, but he also could stay with New York as well. Like it all
Because
depends on those
he
two
hasn't
players
officially been
released.
released.
Yeah, so this is a rumored Minnesota roster, but it's not 100% because it also depends on those two players specifically. But this is their Minnesota roster pretty much rumored right now. And that is Priesta, Attached Major, Maniac, and Accuracy. This one's kind of interesting to me. Like, I could see it being well, but I could also, like, see there being, like, a huge fucking role crisis.
Yeah, because you got Major Maniac and
And Accuracy.
Accuracy.
Yeah, and they're both, like, main statue AR players. Like, Major Maniac would probably obviously be the flex in this situation. But it's like I don't see Major Maniac as a flex. I see him as a main AR like Accuracy. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I see if
But
that roster happens, you don't have Major Maniac and you have Attach be your flex because he's
I
been a
mean
flex and he's really good at it.
I I just don't think you can't put Major Maniac anywhere else than a flex though, because like Major Maniac, like Attach has more history and more like thing as as a sub. You know what I'm
So
saying?
yeah,
So and
but he
Priest,
can also be a flex.
yeah,
He's
he
because I mean
can, he can, but major like you don't stray away from Major Maniac and accuracy. You do not put them as subs, or you're literally screwing your team. Period. But yeah, but yeah, I could. That's like the huge issue I see with that team. If it is a thing, like I said, this is all speculation. So, but yeah, if that team, I if that team is like 100% or does happen next year, uh, I hope they get through that because that's the main concern I see. I don't think their rules will kind of make sense at all, to be honest. But either way, that is the rumored Minnesota roster as of now. Um, the next one is LA Gorillas, and I'm actually low key kind of a fan of this team. This rumor. Um,
yeah.
it is Vivid, Apathy, Silly, and Assault. I am a huge fan of that, to be honest. Like, it's gonna be like your. It was kind of like your Minnesota of last year. They're gonna be a team like that has the capability to fry, but they're also gonna be very teamwork oriented. And hopefully, they stay. If they stay clicking on all cylinders, they definitely can be a sleeper team. Like I could see them doing very well.
Yeah. And honestly, I've never really seen it happen with him, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see Silly as a flex.
I mean,
Because
Silly.
when I think of Silly, I think of a sub player. Realistically, when I've seen him play, but
The only reason why you have Silly as a flex that here, I mean, you have Vivid and Apathy. Those guys are subs, but Silly has in the past been like when he remember the United team or the United team in past, like the one that brought up like gunless RCDs from Stini. What should we call it? Silly was the main AR for that team, or not, or like the flex. Like I've seen Silly run main AR before, which is why I can see him being a flex here, and it will work. Like I've seen Silly run an AR, or yeah, but I'm honestly a fan. I like this team.
yeah, that could definitely be another like sleeper team or top five. I could see that being like a top
I think
top.
this is
I could see like a top five team.
I think this is a team like LA Gorillas. I think this is a team like it's like don't get me wrong, it's all speculation. It's all rumors at this point. Like it could technically not happen still, but this is a rumor. I think that'll probably will happen. To be honest with you.
Yeah, especially like if there's other big key ones signed where they're quote unquote supposed to go, but like
Yeah.
rumored to go and highly possible to go. If that happens, I think like you said, the domino effect will happen, and then
Hmm.
I mean this like you said,
This is like
this is
the
another like highly
highly like probable
rumored
team.
team to
Yeah,
happen.
it's probably like 95% this team's probably gonna be a thing. Like you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like because these all have players on the team that I like that don't probably won't get affected by the domino effect of like Priest and Attach or whatever going somewhere. So you know what I'm saying? Like it's probably gonna be a thing. But the next team, I'm actually a huge fan of this team too. Seattle Surge. Octane, Gunless, Looney back in a starter, and then Prestini. I like this.
I'm actually surprised I don't see John in that.
I like, yeah. The thing, I want to see John back in the league too. I really do because John's John. Like he's
Yeah,
actually fucking
I think
disgusting.
but
But at
and
the same,
now that I think about it, he's probably gonna have to like go through challengers
yeah,
first,
yeah. It's like
and then
it's kind of like a thing like what happened to Censor in a realistic sense. Like Censor took a break from COD, came back, and you're not gonna get put on a starting roster. And I don't care how disgusting you are, like you're gonna have to prove yourself again. You've been gone, Like John's been gone.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it wasn't really by choice.
yeah, but
He was
like
banned. He was banned for Addy.
John definitely could still land a spot. Don't get me wrong on a roster because there is a thing like Intel Call of Duty tweeted out that John was talking to multiple teams. Like teams are interested in John, but I don't know.
I mean,
Like
he could be a sub, and if like Looney doesn't work out or something, they can switch John in for Looney.
no, yeah, I personally see John going through challengers first, personally, but
Yeah,
yeah.
which I'm
I'm
surprised. I'm low-key surprised. Like Fellow and those guys haven't like even gotten like a bench spot
I'm not shocked
or
to be
tuck.
honest. It's sad, but
I mean, and we also know, but we also don't know. Actually, not we do know, but we don't know. They could possibly get bench spots on these teams and like still go through challengers
well,
because that's
yeah,
what the bench players do. Like, but if you think about it, like their salary would
well,
like go
yeah.
up a lot, and then like they're
They
sitting pretty on a bench and basically just doing challengers just to basically run it again, like they did this year in
yeah,
MW. They Fellows team pretty much mopped, except for like the FaZe Academy team. They were like probably their number two.
Haggy was a consistent challenger team. Or challenger player. Like he had a lot of different teams, but he was the most consistent challenger player last year. Haggy was.
Yeah,
Like he wasn't on like Fellows team. I mean he might have at one point. Like he had a lot of teams, but he was the most consistent placer in challengers last year. No matter what team he was on, he always finished very well. So, but
and
either way,
you got to watch one.
it. Either way, but I'm still a fan of that roster. I like the fact like Looney and Gunless. I could see this roster doing some
Yeah,
things.
because you got the Rise boys from World War II coming back
You got
together,
yeah,
and Looney and Gunless.
and then you got Sam and Pristini and Looney's team with Sam before too. Pristini's team with Gunless before. Like yeah, um, this roster, yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Should be miles better than their Modern Warfare team.
Oh yeah. I also want to bring up the fact that you'll see a lot of less sub spots too this year, in my personal opinion, just solely due to the fact that they minimized the amount of players you can have on your roster. Like last year, the minimum players you had to have on your roster was 7, right? So you had to have 7 players, including subs. Like you had your 5 starters, and then you had to have 2 subs. You had to. This
Right.
year, you have 4 players, and they minimized the subs. Like the minimum you can have is 5. I don't know the max, but potentially that minimizes the amount of sub players because you had to have at least 2 subs last year, and now you only have to have 1, if that makes sense.
Unless you're Toronto Ultra, and you basically have two entire teams.
But I mean, they've released all their sub players too, and all of their start like their team of 4 that is rumored right now, which is going to be a thing, is the only players they have on their team right now. You know what I'm
Yeah, they
saying?
don't like. Yeah,
They don't even have a sub sign anymore. So,
yeah.
but they're definitely not going to have as many players on their sub as they did last year. So the amount of sub spots that are going to be in the league is going to drop substantially. So, just yeah, it's going to be nuts. But either way, yeah, Seattle should be a good team. Should be a lot better than last year. They're on paper probably still not better than obviously the top 3, but they could definitely beat the top 3 teams on if they're playing well. You know what I'm saying? They're a team
Yeah.
that could show up and win an event.
Mhm.
Next rumor is Toronto, which is not really a rumor because it's kind of confirmed at the same time. But Kleenex and Cammy are confirmed on the roster no matter what, but Bans and Methods were like unconfirmed still, but they haven't been released either. And the Toronto people, the Toronto like Twitter and stuff like that, were tweeting about like Bans and Methods all day today on like Cold War and stuff like that. So you know what I'm saying? Like their roster is going to be Kleenex, Bans, Cammy, Methods next year, which is still like they still basically have 4/5 of their team from last year, just without Classic. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think with the whole unconfirmed thing with Methods Advanced, they're probably trying to like renegotiate
Yeah,
contract
yeah,
with
100%.
them.
100%. They're gonna like they're just they haven't been like confirmed release. They're probably still under contract to them, but it's I mean, wait, did they tweet out bans and method? I don't even remember. But either way, that's probably going to be the roster next year. Like it, like 99% that's going to be the roster, you know. So, yeah. um Next rumor is not like 100%. Like we still don't know this full roster. There's still like a question mark in the starting spot. But we know three of the starters are going to be TJ Kenny and Slasher from Optic. Those three are still going to be on the team. Um, the reason why there's a question mark there is because Priesta has been in talks with Optic as well. So like Priesta from that Minnesota roster could end up on Optic. So like that minute, like it just like a few things depend on a few players, and then like as soon as the few players are 100% confirmed, like I said, that's when the domino effect for other teams is going to come into effect. So, Priesta could end up here, which would that roster. If Priest ends up on Optic, dude, that roster's nuts. That roster is nuts. But it could also be a thing where Draza stays on the starting spot too, because Draza technically didn't get released when they like tweeted out their release players. So let's say Priesta doesn't happen with Optic, Draza could start too. They still have Draza, and Draza was disgusting when he stepped in. Um, so either variation of this roster right now is kind of good either way. You know what I'm saying? Um, but Draza's if he doesn't start, he's gonna be on. I think he'll be on Optic as a bench player. Like he hasn't been released, but he will probably be their bench player if he's not starting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know any other rumors besides like Priesthood to Optic. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I don't think there's really any other player rumor to go there besides Priesta. So it's either Priesta that goes there and starts, or Draza's probably gonna get the starting spot and be on the team. You know. Um. Next one is New York. The rumor, they basically kind of like the confirmed three right now, even though like Clay is not 100% confirmed either, but he's probably gonna end up on New York. Like, it's Clayster, Mac, and Zuma, and then the force kind of still up in the air right now. Um, the only rumors that I've heard around New York is Pharaoh might go there from Florida, or Attach stays there. So yeah. Um, like basically that Minnesota roster, the rumor right now, that Minnesota's roster is like solely dependent on Priest and Attach and where they end up. Because I feel like Major Maniac and Accuracy are probably still gonna end up in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? As of right now,
Mm-hmm.
but like depending on like their two players will be dependent on Attach and Priesta. um, but yeah. So yeah, New York's either gonna be, as of right now, the rumors are either Zuma attaching or Zuma Mac attach and Clayster, or Zuma Mac Pharaoh and Clayster. And either variation of that roster is gonna be gross. Like, I'm just being honest, because Pharaoh and attach will be the flex. You're basically like finding out who your flex player is if you want Pharaoh as your flex or attach. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly kind of think Pharaoh makes more sense though. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if you want like if those three are a team and you're looking like obviously you're finding a flex at that point. I feel like Pharaoh's the better flex. But maybe that's just me spitballing, because Attach has been flexed in the past and has been very good at it, don't get me wrong. But I see Attach more as like a sub, you know what I'm saying? Like a perma sub. But he can on a
Right.
flex. So Pharaoh makes. I personally think that Pharaoh makes more sense and they should prioritize Pharaoh over Attach. But if Attach lands there too, that roster is still going to be nasty. um, and if Attach lands there too, you'll have 3/4 of that, that phase team that kept giving fucking the old optic troubles. Either way. Next rumor is Florida, which this is, I don't know, like Florida's gonna be weird. I haven't heard much rumors on Florida. There's a lot of things that can happen, or um, like we said, the confirmed players they have right now that they haven't technically released are Pharaoh, Awakening, Skies, and Havoc. But I still don't think you have Havoc starting next year on this team. I think he'll probably get released. Um, if you've noticed too, like we haven't gotten to the other teams, but Matt, if you've noticed, Slack's name isn't up here. A player like Slack should be fucking starting, and if he doesn't start, I'll be mind blown. Mind blown. But
Yeah.
if you notice, his name is not
Is not on this
is
list
not
at
on
all.
this. He's not here. So
Mm-hmm.
if he's going to be starting, he's going to be going to one of these teams that has question marks. He has to.
Mm.
Or like it's literally where he goes is dependent on, honestly, my opinion, Priest and Attaches bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, and like Pharaohs and stuff like basically that domino effect. Because let's say Attach stays with subliners, I think he'll probably like Slack will be good on Minnesota, but he'll also be good on Florida because we don't know what's going on with them. You know what I'm saying? Like Slack is a player that's gonna depend on that domino effect. Because if he, but like I said, it's rumored right now that he could not even be starting, which is crazy. I don't know. That's just nuts to me, dude. But either way, Florida's roster is kind of still up in the air. Like, who knows what's gonna happen? Like, I feel like if the whole Pharaoh thing with New York doesn't happen, you'll still see like Skies Awakening and Pharaoh on the team, and their fourth will be like, who knows? You know what I'm saying? No one knows. But if the Pharaoh thing with New York happens, then Skies and Awakening will probably pick up two players, and you don't like who knows who they're gonna be. But yeah, uh, Florida's kind of like a team we don't really have enough information on as of right now, to be honest.
Right. Mm.
There's still a lot that can happen with them. But next up, rumored London roster as of right now, and there's still there's still a player that's not. There's a question mark on this roster too. Um, it's as of right now, the rumor is Shawnee, Alex, and Dylan, and then their fourth is like who knows. I want to throw this out there too. I am genuinely shocked. Why the hell are Scraps or Wuskin not guaranteed on here? Why? I and zero. Like why? You know? Why? It's wow. I don't know. Crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I never thought like I knew I mean, we know that 12 players are getting shafted this year. But never in my right fucking mind did I ever think that Zero, Scraps, and Wuskin could be shafted. Ever.
Or Slack, really, for
Or
me.
slacked. Yeah. But all four of them literally could be chucked and not in the league. They had to go to challengers, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. Or I mean, I would say or sit out, but they wouldn't do that.
They would not do that.
Knowing
Hell
that,
no.
yeah, they
They would play. They would play. They would play.
Yeah. They'll just be like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna go have to run the Challenger League.
Yep. But that's the shitty part about it going to 4v4 is whether we liked it or not, there were going to be players like that you know, there's nothing they could do, man.
Or they have to make like a Mac run where Mac was like literally just like frying everybody in eights and ten
I
or in
mean,
tens.
the good thing about players like Slack, Slack, Scrap, Swuskin, Zero, they've already proven themselves. So it's like if they continue to fry in challengers, and the team is struggling, they'll probably be on a spot with like that. Just have a finger their back, and
Yeah.
that's the good thing if you're a player like them, I guess, in that aspect. But at the end of the day, you're still getting shafted at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
When you come back, you're like, all right, I'm back. But you also have the other party that's like, why was I even gone?
yeah, facts. But I don't know. But those are the three players that are like kind of rumored to be on the team right now is Dylan, Alex, and Shawnee. I mean Dylan and Alex make sense. Like they've been trying. I don't. Me personally, if this was just me, I would have Wuskin over Shawnee. But that's just me. I don't know. But London decided to go with Shawnee over 100% keep Shawnee on the team no matter what. So
Probably
they know
his
something I
chance
don't.
performance.
Yeah, I mean they know something I don't obviously, but I'm just saying me personally, I would have gone with Wuskin 100%. But I don't know. And then the last team is Paris Legion, and this one has me in for a fucking loop because I have no idea who two of these players are, to be quite frank.
Hydra is a French player
Okay.
who Clay because Clayster tweeted out he said he
Oh,
didn't
he's
want to name
that
names.
he's that guy. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah. Because Clayster tweeted out because he didn't want to give anything away. What he said that somebody asked him who was like the
The
a
best
best like
am.
up and yeah the
Hmm.
best am to pick up, and he said Hydra, and they said that they had never heard of him. But
He doesn't
Clayster
speak.
said that he
He
didn't
doesn't
speak
speak much
English.
English.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't speak English that well, but he's like a
That
nasty French player.
that makes a lot of sense then, to be honest.
Mhm. Now Pred, I know
I have
nothing about
no
Pred.
idea. I have no idea who Pred is. And this is coming from me. And this is like Matt usually knows that I I usually know a lot of fucking people. And the fact that I've never heard of Pred before is saying something. I don't know who the fuck that is, to be honest.
I don't
No
either.
idea. And I know a lot of fucking people. Like I
Yeah.
follow
Like obviously we know Zen. We know Zed
Zed
and
and
Den.
Dens, yeah. Like
Like we
they
know
could
them,
they
and I know somewhat of Hydra.
I know somewhat.
'Cause I
I
mean,
mean, that makes sense now. I just didn't know that was his name, but I seen Clay gas him up on Twitter.
yeah.
um,
So I know pretty much 3 of the 4 people. Like just I go okay. I know Den. I know Zed. Heard of
Hydra's
Hydra. Know
Hydra's been
him a little
gassed up on
bit.
Twitter.
Yeah, he's been gassed up on Twitter. I've seen him. I've seen some like gameplay of him and
Uh
stuff,
huh.
and he's really good.
Yep.
And then I see Pred, and I'm like,
I'm
who
like,
the
who?
fuck is
Like,
that?
who's that, bro? Yeah, I don't know. That the rumored roster for Paris is Pred, Zed, Hydra, and Dens. Like Paris, I don't know. Like this is gonna be interesting. Like, cause no one knows. Like who knows, bro? Like, this is gonna be a team off the rip that's gonna get hella slapped on. Who knows how good they are? You know what I'm saying? But like, this is gonna be a team like Paris was last year. Like when we saw the Paris roster last year and the confirmed roster, we were 100. Like everyone jumped to the gun and be like 12th place. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
everyone thought they were getting dead last, and it kind of almost happened that way anyways. They got 11th. No one thought Seattle was going to be that bad. But
Bro, no one thought they would be like below like 8th.
yeah. But like that's a Paris is another team I see again. Like I see this roster, the rumored roster, and I see 12th place written all over it.
Yeah, especially like picking up like a no name. Like I don't want to say a no name, but like a guy that like nobody has ever heard of
Yeah,
ever.
I don't know.
Like
Unless we're unless
is this
we're
like
unless we're living under a fucking rock. Like, but I usually the thing is like I usually know players, Matt. You know what I'm saying? The fact I don't know who
yeah
the fuck this guy is, dude. I like it.
like unless Pred is like short for something, like if he has like some really long name, and then like they come out and say like who Pred is, like his full like gaming name, and it ends up being like someone we actually knew then.
We're
It's like,
like,
well, then
oh.
why didn't you put? Yeah, bro, I'm just waiting for that to happen. We're gonna see the Paris Legion roster. We'll see Zed, Hydra, Dent, and they'll say like it's like Predator or something like a name like we actually know, and then we're just sitting there going, oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
okay.
yeah, but as uh, like feel free to roast me in the comments if I'm a fucking idiot for this or not knowing who this is, but I had generally no clue who the fuck this is. Like I don't know. I haven't like he's got to be like an EU or like a French player. Like he's got to be something like that. Like I just never heard of. He has to be, right? That's the
He
only
has to be.
that's the only thing I could think of, dude. Like cuz Hydra obviously is that player, but he's been gassed up on Twitter by Clay. He's like we've seen little gameplay. He's been pretty good. Like he's good. Like it takes a lot for a Clay to gas you up on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? Like Clay is Clay's only gassed up a few AMs like that, like obviously the ones come to mind like Simp before he went pro, LE, like all those players. Like Clay doesn't usually gas up an AM unless he, sees something in them. You know what I'm saying? So for Clay to hype up Hydra, that means a lot, to be honest. But Pred, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who the fuck you are, dude. I'm sorry, but
If you somehow stumble across this, we're sorry.
yeah, I don't know. That I mean, regardless, that roster still has 12th place written all over it for me. With especially with all the other teams, um, that are rumored. like, there's some teams that aren't even fully like rumored or like we have no information on, like Florida, especially like we only have information really on like Skies and Awakening staying there 100%, and then Pharaoh could be on another team or he could stay on Florida. You know what I'm saying? But any variation of a player that Florida could pick up, honestly, is still better than the Paris team for me. And they're not even fully like confirmed yet. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. This team has 12th place written all over it again. So who knows? Feels bad, man. And I guess for someone like me, who, like I said, I see a player like Zero, Scraps, Wuskin, Slacked, Classic, players like those that could have gone to Paris instead of like players that aren't really known. Like it's shocking to me that they, went that way.
Hmm.
I would rather have like like let's say Dens and Zed stay on the team, and like let's say they do pick up Hydra, but why not pick up a guy like Zero Wuskin, or like why not pick up like a Slack, like or a Scraps or something, or a Zero, or I don't know, dude, like crazy, crazy. But who knows? They obviously, I mean, Paris probably just obviously sees something in those players, and at the end of the day, it is Paris. Like everyone was pissed at them for not having a French player in their team last year, not one. So it makes sense for them to, go after French talent, which I'm not hating on them for that, but still kind of shocking that there's definitely more prolific, like, known players that could have definitely gone in a spot that got shafted because of that, you know? And that's no offense to Predator Hydra, but still. Shocking. Either way, but yeah, those are the confirmed rosters on the team or of every team so far. Like I said, or like me and Matt said, things can still be subject to change. Obviously, there's still some things that could cause a domino effect for other teams, and yeah, like, but I feel like I feel like the four safest teams for me, or the five safest, maybe even six, like half the six safest team for me right now are. I feel like the Atlanta Phase is gonna be a team. I feel like Dallas Empire is gonna be a team, but that's obvious. I feel like Chicago's
Mm.
team is gonna be a team. I feel like the Gorillas team is gonna be a team, and I feel the same way about Seattle and Toronto. Every other team though, who knows? Things can definitely still change for the other teams. So like I would say like 50% of the league, I feel confident about their rumored rosters right now.
Mm.
But yeah, either way, that is what's happened in Rostermania so far in the off season. Like I said, I didn't expect it to pop off as much as it did, but all hell fucking broke loose, and it was a
All right,
nut
all right, here we
show
go. I did research
on Pred.
on who Pred is.
Okay,
Yes,
is
he was on Renegades in Modern Warfare.
that the Aussie team?
And that's a yeah,
Yeah,
the
that was the
Aussie
Aussie
team.
team.
The Aussie team that
Okay,
won
okay, that makes a lot of sense then. I can see that. I
yes.
just didn't like Australian scene is small. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
but if he was on that Renegades roster, that makes a lot of sense of why. Like Paris would pick up a player like Pred because he was a top A and Z talent, and obviously Dens is from Australia, and Zed teamed with Shocks and Luca, who are also from Australia this year, and like that makes a lot more sense then. But even still, like, it's crazy. But I
Yeah.
mean, I give major props to Pred though. Like he Renegades won eight. I think they went on like an 8 spree at one point last year in Challengers. They won 8 in a row. So I
Did you ever
mean,
see who their roster was?
Renegades.
Yeah.
I knew like a couple, but that's it.
Yep. It was Fida, Swifty, Steezy, Pred, and Charisma.
Okay. See, like I knew
I was actually kind of surprised that Fida was still playing.
I knew Fida and Shifty. I knew those two, but I didn't know the rest.
You mean Swifty?
Yeah, whatever. Sorry, but yeah,
Not you.
um, yeah, I knew those guys, but I didn't know the other three like very well. But although, can you blame me really though? Because like we all know the Australian scene's kind of small in terms of COD, anyways, and they always have been, So major props though for Paris picking up like a Australian challenger talent because I feel like that does a lot for the Australian scene. Like, people be like, oh, like people connect. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like the Australian scene was kind of like chalk because they don't have a team. The league didn't branch out this year into getting new new franchises. And I feel like when the league does branch out, they'll definitely get an Australia team. Like Sydney will be a team. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. And
So
I just found Hydra.
yeah, who
Um,
did Hydra play for?
he try hard. He was on Monaco Academy in 2018.
Okay.
But I'm trying to see. He got third in Paris Open champs on Team Tryhard.
Okay.
But I can't, and he's 18.
Okay.
And he is from France. So they're right on that, obviously. Uh, don't really want to get into like his whole name and everything, and obviously residency Europe, being a French player. Want to me? Okay, Tryhard. Tryhard's team was Whalers, Kenza, Hydra, Breezy, and Defrag.
Okay, so yeah, that was like a full French lineup.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense then. I mean, we know Hydra was getting gassed up on Twitter by like a few players. So, That's good. I feel like my the biggest thing for me is like I'm glad like I'm sad to see like players like Slacked in Classic and stuff like that like not get a league spot because of that. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy that Paris like went that direction and picked up like an Australian challenger. You know what I'm saying? Like that dominated
Mhm.
the year. And because I feel like if they didn't do that, like why like if you're an Australian player playing challenges and your obviously dream is to get picked up by one of these teams, right? Like a franchise team. And like no one really scouts out Australia, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that would make it more unmotivating for the like it would very demonetize Australian scene more than it already is to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that Paris like branched out and got an Australian player like that because then it makes it
Yeah.
more motivating for Australians to like be like, oh, this guy got picked up on a franchise team. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we
Yeah.
should.
And Denza's probably fucking happy
Yeah.
because
So
he's
it's
got
like
another Aussie with him.
so it's like I like that. I like that mindset right there. That's super dope. I like that a lot because they then
And then
it
the Paris fans get what they want. They get a French player.
it's just like it motivates Australians the Australian scene a lot more. 100%.
Yeah.
Because
And I
they're
guarantee you, if this roster does happen, I guarantee you they're probably gonna jump on it early and try and help Hydra like with his English.
yeah 100%. Yeah 100%. But
Because I mean, if you think about it, it would be like the that denial team where they had like half American, half French,
I remember that.
and like when they would do the listen-ins, like you would hear like whoever was shot calling, it was one of the French guys. I think it was like Niche or
I think it
something. But
was
he would like he
Whalers too. Because Whalers
yeah,
is on that team.
but like they would talk to each other in French, and then they would call it out in English.
Yeah. It was interesting. I remember that. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, it
interesting.
was interesting, but I give them big
Props for that.
props
Yeah.
for being able to
Do that.
be able to not only call out in their own native language, but also like immediately after calling it out in French, switching it and saying it in English for the other guys
Instantly,
to be
yeah.
able to understand.
I remember that team. That was an interesting team. And they actually did like kind of surprisingly a lot better than people thought too.
Yeah.
So but
And then denial being the kind of org they were.
no, but yeah, I think now that we put it like now that I know that Pred like was on that Renegades roster dominating, that I like the mindset. I like what Paris did. Um, makes the Australian scene not as dead as it already is. Like, and the Australian scene by no means is dead. Don't get me wrong, but it's like that community over there has always been much smaller than NA and EU. You know, so
Yeah.
um, yeah. I just hope I like that mindset. I hope it shows that people like. I hope it shows the ANZ challenger teams out there that
That you can do it.
that you can get picked up and you can do it no matter like how small your community is. Like people are scouting you and looking at you, and that's super dope. I like that a lot. But either way, I'm glad we I'm glad he did the research honestly because Pred was gonna piss me off. Like him getting a spot was gonna
I mean,
literally
I'm
tilt
just
me.
happy it wasn't like some long name like that the people who made that caught intel just didn't feel like typing out the entire name and it being some name that we actually knew.
No, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the rumored rosters. It kind of sucks to see the players that I've listed kind of not be here on the teams. Like, just crazy to me. Who I mean, they'll play through challengers. You know, like those like. Luckily for players like that have a name for themselves already. Like, if let's say they don't even play in challengers, let's say they retire. I don't think it'll happen, but let's say like someone like Slack retires or something like that he has a good fan base where he can stream and build content off of. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not fucked.
Yeah, well, that and he's proven himself. He's really smart at the game. He could even, I mean, teams could also want him as a coach or some form of
Yeah,
analyst.
like
It doesn't have to
yeah.
be S&D. He could be just like he could be a hardpoint analyst, control analyst.
No, yeah,
Because
yeah,
Cold
like
War, yeah,
players like that aren't going to be completely chalked, which is also like it sucks that they're not in the league, and they I know like players like that will want to be playing and starting in the league because they should, like,
mm,
but at the same time they're not chalked. They're definitely by no means not chalked. Um, so that I guess that's the plus side of players like that getting kind of shafted. Um, but I mean, at the end of the day, still you'll see them on starting spots eventually. I think next year. I mean, there's gonna be teams that are gonna make changes like they do every year. Gonna be not as good as they thought they were gonna be, and they're gonna make a roster change. So that's always a plus as well. And I also heard that the roster restrictions and stuff like that, or like the trades and stuff like that, is less strict next year. So I think you'll see a lot more changes next year as well of rosters in the season because you didn't see that much this year. Obviously, there's a few teams that made a change, but it wasn't like past CODs where you saw like a lot of different varieties of rosters during the season. You know what I'm saying? So you'll
yeah,
see. I think you'll see a lot more of that next year. And another thing too is like let's say they do sign players like Weskin Scraps or something like that to the bench. Last year there were some legally binded contracts that didn't allow certain bench players to play in challengers, and they completely got rid of that rule alone. Like if you're a bench, you're gonna be able to play in challengers no matter what. So that's also dope.
yeah. So basically, if you're a bench player, you can't. You're not just going sitting there not
Playing
playing
tens,
anything.
yeah, like
Yeah,
and
you
you have to
basically
play
just have to wait
tens.
for tens.
Yeah, that's literally what happened to Sensor last year. That's literally Sensor's year last year to a fucking T. Is he was a bench player that was legally obligated that he couldn't play in challengers, and so his form of practice was tens, and that is not practice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like most teams, like from what I've heard, most people that are streaming Scump and like YouTube videos and stuff, he said he stopped playing tens because like no one ever took it seriously. Like no one like actually tried to
Yeah.
try different things or try going different ways for different hills or flag routes
I mean,
or
tens was literally like the stat hoard to like keep your rep up or like to keep showing that you're good. Like tens,
yeah.
like tens and eights like change from game to game. It's so weird. Like there's some games where like tens or eights or whatever you want to call them because 4v4 5v5. There's some of them that got taken seriously, and then there's some of them like MW where it was just like tens were just like full of kill whores who were trying to still be like, oh, I'm still good enough to start. So you know what I'm saying? Like basically just trying to keep their spot instead of.
I think also the rule of them not being able to play for money also kind of made it kind of chalked,
No, yeah, that was the
like to
interest.
kind of
I mean, they
try.
they eventually changed that rule too because towards the end of the year, you saw pros start playing in CMG tournaments, GB. You know what I'm saying? They were able to play
Mm,
in them again, so they
uh,
eventually changed that. But yeah, that also did not help because
yeah,
Censor's year was so chalked when he signed with New York because his contract didn't allow him to play in challengers, and then he couldn't play in S&D tournaments because of that rule. So his literally only form of playing the game like on a serious competitive level was tens, and that's not
and pubs.
serious. Yeah, and that's
Or
not.
CDL playlist, and that's not gonna help you.
And I'm just like, dude, if I were Sensor in that situation, and he probably was pissed because I know how Sensor is, but he was probably fucking furious. He's like, I have to sit here all day and play like pubs or something until the pros get done scrimming, and then hopefully I get picked in tens. Hopefully, it's not even guaranteed he
It's either
plays.
that or I'm just watching people kill whore
Yeah, pretty much.
an entire map.
So it's like
Yeah, I
since.
mean, also his contract at one point, I remember him making a video on this was he almost was in his contract. He almost got in like a not a lawsuit, but almost in a fight with the COD League about him making YouTube videos because like the spot because like his sponsors weren't
Yeah, his year
the
was
sponsors
interesting.
from subliners.
Yeah, his year was super interesting, bro. To say the
I
least.
look,
And
kind of felt bad for him.
yeah, like his year, like I mean, I could see why he did what he did and signed with New York because like he's from New York, and then he thought that was gonna be the better option because he was already on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, okay, like if something happens in New York, they're probably gonna pick me up over a challenger because I'm already on the team. It'll be easier process. But no, they picked up challengers first, so he was like,
Yeah.
shit.
And I mean, honestly, they probably picked up a really good challenger player too,
I mean, yeah, they did,
Mac.
but still, like that's where I mean, he knows where he went wrong. He should have just not signed to the team regardless and just played challengers because that's the better way to do it, anyways.
Yeah.
But either way, if Sensor is like that's the super dope thing about being a bench player next year is if Sensor signs somewhere else, like who knows if he re-signs with New York as a sub, but he did get released. He is an
Yeah.
unrestricted free agent, but if he gets
And
signed
maybe
with
they're renegotiating so he can actually make YouTube videos and not get fined by the league for not having the same sponsors.
But if he ends up on a sub spot somewhere, again, he will be able to play in challengers guaranteed, no matter what, which is super dope because that's what he should have done to begin with, and why his year was super fucking chalked.
Oh, and the fact that he'd be able to stream it
Yes.
because that was another thing. He was streaming. He contacted someone at CDL and he was like, "Hey, I know I'm a bench player and technically I'm not supposed to stream, but he got permission from CDL to stream his challengers matches." And then in the middle of a match, he got a DM from someone at CDL saying that he was not allowed to stream.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, poor censor, dude. Poor,
He
poor,
just
poor,
his year was just
poor,
bouncing
like
off walls.
poor Chino too, because Chino was a player that was the same way. Because Goonjar had a contract. He like they were both on Optic, right, at the beginning of the year. But
Yeah.
Goonjar and Chino were both on the same challenger team to start the year because they were both on Optic as a sub player. But Chino just so happened to have the contract. He had to get dropped from his challenger team because he had Sensors kind of contract where he couldn't play in challengers. But Goonjar had the contract where he could play in challengers and be a sub. So Chino's year was kind of chalked in that aspect too. Like he ended up starting for a little bit because they had roster problems, but still, like poor Chino too. Like fuck, bro. He got legally bounded to not play in challengers either.
Yeah. I think that's also like another thing like that I give kudos to the league, like making changes like that, like
Yeah,
allowing bench players / subs to play in
play in
challengers
challengers. Yeah.
and not have to worry about does my contract go over the line and I can't do that.
I mean that's not.
Now it's just now if you're a sub, your contract basically just says you're a sub player. That's it.
Like
You
like
can you can
you're
stream
gonna
whatever you want.
you're gonna get you're gonna get the salary of being on the benefits of being a sub player on the roster, right? But you could also not be super shocked because like realistically, like I feel like that's what the league didn't know because like I said, like the league was gonna have bumps in its first year because you had people that didn't know how COD worked to an extent because there's new and old faces working in COD, right? Like you saw those people that came and still work for COD, but then you have new faces because it's a brand new league and stuff like that, so they didn't know how COD worked. And stuff like that is just stuff they didn't know. Like it's just better for your sub players to keep playing because if not, they're kind of shocked, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah, and the challenger people are gonna get picked
over
up
them.
over. Oh yeah, because the challenger people have chances to play, improve themselves and stuff,
And
while
they've
the
been
sub
scrimming.
players have to.
They have
Yeah,
they've been scrimming. Like they've been and they have the opportunity to put more time in the game because they scrim and then they play in the challenger tournaments and then like
and they're not legally obligated to not play challengers.
yeah. So it's like a challenger person's always gonna get easily picked up over someone that's just on your bench that's not able to play.
Yeah, they're not able to play, and they, like you said, they just have to pray to God they get picked in the tens.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that I think I still think like yeah, it's gonna be dope to be picked up as a substitute player on a contract because you're gonna probably be sitting more pretty than the challenger players because you're getting a salary paid contract for being a sub on the team and benefits and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm so glad they fixed that because if they had that again, where some players couldn't play in challengers, bro, poor them, dude. Like you're literally sitting on the bench at that point, like you're never gonna start, and it'd be like, okay, I'm just here streaming, collecting a paycheck, like when you want to compete, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, uh,
Yeah. You're basically just sitting there going, okay, I get a paycheck and I get to say that I was on a bench for this CDL team.
and that's that. Like damn well those players want to compete. They don't give a shit about the paycheck. So
While you have challenger people walking by you, walking to the fucking starting lineup.
yeah, pretty much. You're just like, hey.
Hey, I'm the bench player.
But yeah.
You want to play tens later?
that that's dope. Thank God for that. Um, speaking of that too, I want to quick touch on the challengers too. That um, it going to 4v4 and some players getting shafted. Like I said last video, I'm pretty sure I said this last video. Anyways, keep an eye on how much of a passion pit the challengers will be next year as well.
Oh yeah, we
Holy,
did talk about that.
holy shit! Like the competition and challengers is going to be actually fucking insane, bro. I'm so excited.
No, and the fact that you got, like you said, like unfortunately the pro players that got shafted, like they're gonna end up being in the challengers division. Like that's just it. The passion in the pit is going to be raised.
It's gonna be fucking insane, bro. Because you have players like Haggy who was super consistent. Like you had the super dope challenger teams of last year. They're still gonna be in challengers this year. That completely ran the challenger pockets and stuff like that. And then you're gonna have pro players who get shafted that create challenger teams, and you're just gonna be like, holy shit, holy shit, dude. And then you have people that are like known players, like John probably comes back and competes in challengers if he competes. So it's like crazy. Crazy. I don't know. I that's the last thing I want to touch on this video is I hope please CDL, please have a stream for challengers or like pay it like give it love, please. Cuz that is going to be a goddamn passion pit and I want to see the
Yeah, those 12
matches.
people you shafted, give them some love in the challengers.
I want to see challenger matches. Like I know it's not
Like I
going to
don't even
be.
care if they did it like not like BO4, but where they in BO4 when I went
I
to
mean,
Vegas, they had a stream for it, but they didn't have anybody casting over it. It was
they
just they were
literally had a
watching.
dedicated challenger stream. You know,
Yeah,
like a stream dedicated to challengers. Strictly, like they should 100% do that, and I hope they do it. Please, because next year's challengers is going to be the competition. It's literally going to be like the pro league. It's like the pro league competition's nuts in itself, and then the challenger competition's going to be.
pretty much. I mean, just about the same way, just about.
Yeah, like it's gonna be the competition in challengers is gonna be the hardest it's ever have been in COD history. Like no, I'm not even capping with that. Like the hardest challenger season ever, ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, please CDL, give it some love. I want to see some goddamn passion pit matches. I know it's not as big as the fucking pro league, okay? But Jesus Christ, man, I would love to
I mean,
see.
you did somewhat decent this year. You just never announced when the challengers stream
I
was
mean,
going live.
I mean, they didn't start streaming challengers towards the end, like the last few events. No bullshit.
Yeah, and then obviously they did it for
They did
champs,
it for
but
yeah.
they never like tweeted it out saying, "Hey, we're live with challenger champs"
I want
and stuff
love.
like that.
Like the prize pool this year for challengers, like during Modern Warfare season, was super dope. Like that's like the biggest challengers love in terms of prize pool it's ever seen. But we had no stream for them. You know what I'm saying? Like they got
Mm,
no stream attention or time to shine on a stream, or people could like be like, oh, that player's super dope, or the only way they get known is if they stream the matches themselves. You know what I'm saying? And some players
and
don't do that. Some players don't do that.
yeah,
So it's
and not
like
every pro can go through every single COD stream because I mean, pros do say that they go and watch like in
Challenge.
players
Yeah.
like the non the like not your Haggies and stuff like that. They don't go watch them. They'll go watch like other like not as well known people to see like, is this guy any good? Could he possibly be on the up and coming and stuff
No.
like that? Because I mean, like you said, Haggie's pretty much. I mean, he's proven himself in other CODs, and he's like you said, this year he was consistent in his placing. So I mean,
Super consistent.
pros didn't really have to watch him. I mean, that's probably how they found like draws on Hollow. They probably
I
like,
mean,
oh,
Haggy team with Draza at one point. I remember.
mm,
So, like, I don't know. I just, yeah, that's the last thing I want to touch on is please CDL. I want some challenger. Like, you don't have to give them more money because you already gave them plenty enough money. Trust me. Like, just give them a time, give them a place where they can fucking show who they are. And like
yeah,
the matches are dope. Like they're not as known players, sure, but the matches are fucking dope to watch. They're so close and they're dope
and
matches.
it's so much higher stakes than before.
Yeah.
Like they're playing for way more money than they've ever played for.
And they're trying to prove that they deserve to be on one of these fucking 12 teams.
Yeah,
So it's like,
they're trying to be like the Hydras and the
yeah,
Preds.
yeah. So I don't know. Please give them a stream. Give them something, man, because this year's gonna be the craziest challenger year we've ever seen in COD. And I don't think it's ever. It's not even gonna be close. Like the competition is gonna be nuts. You got Haggy
Mm.
still down there. You got the pros that are gonna be shafted still down there. Some pros are coming back that haven't played. Um, and then you got the consistent challenger teams from last year.
And the other
Like,
thing is you got other people that didn't compete in Modern Warfare saying that they're coming back.
yeah, exactly. Like you've got a lot of people interested, and you've got players like Mental coming over from another game to play COD. Like
I mean,
everyone's
Snakebite until Halo comes out, he's gonna
like
be competing.
like that's super dope. Give them love, man. Please.
Hmm.
Please. Please, man. Be super fascinated to see that shit. But either way, that's gonna be this episode. I feel like things are probably gonna definitely die down in the next week's episode. It probably won't be as long. Just a lot of things happened this week specifically. Like I we might see roster announcements coming soon, but I don't think they're going to be like next week. I feel like it'll probably be like the week after, maybe, that we'll see like a lot of rosters announced because, like I said, this is franchising, so like they're on a deadline. You'll see it's not going to be like any other COD where teams are waiting till the COD's out or even like a couple weeks past to announce the roster. They're probably going to it's like more legally obligated for them to like find a team and announce it at a certain date. You know what I'm saying? It's more professional. So you'll see a lot of rosters announced very soon. And
Yeah.
Octane pretty much confirmed the same thing he said in his video. That his roster will be announced very soon. So
Yeah, because they have till the 14th. Isn't that right?
they
Like
have
they have
the
contracts and everything. Like they
yeah,
get approved.
and then if players aren't like re-signed or whatever with that team, or they don't have like a set team by that date, then the players that don't have a contract at that time are free agents, 100% free agents. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you'll see a lot of rosters announced soon, and that's without question. You'll, but I don't know. We'll see. I feel like Rostermania is definitely gonna die down this week a little, kind of. Just because a lot's happened this week. But yeah, other than that, I feel like next week we can give up our little roster intake and we can talk about Cold War, honestly, because the multiplayer reveal was today. I wish we could have talked about it, but we just had a lot of roster stuff to say, and this episode's already an hour and 20 minutes long with all the roster stuff. So we'll talk about Cold War another time for sure, because
I mean, if anything, that'll probably be the next video.
yeah, because the multiplayer reveal was today, and that's definitely a
If
thing.
anything, I see the next video being like mainly talking about
Cold War.
the Cold War, and then probably with because all
The
the roster stuff's gonna die down, it'll probably be like a little bit of the rosters at the end and stuff
yeah,
like that.
it'll be mostly Cold War based. Um, cause yeah. that game looked very good. I'm not gonna go out on a limb and you know jump on the bandwagon like everyone else does and be like, oh my god, best COD ever, blah blah blah. It's my year. Like I've always been a player.
Everyone says that every year.
Yeah, and like we said that
There's
about.
always people on my timeline going, "It's my year, it's my year, it's my year," and then halfway through the season, I see that
they don't
gone
even
to
play. Like they don't even play, or they think the game
they
sucks,
don't
or
either
something like that. Like I don't
like
know.
they blame the game or they're on their fourth team
Yeah, I don't know.
in 2 weeks, or they're tweeting out looking for one or something like that. It's like no, like don't say it's your year.
I'm
Just
I'm
don't.
I'm just gonna wait until I play the game first before I give my 100% opinion on it. But I will say that the game did look.
Every year's your year, Colt.
I mean, I ain't saying you're wrong. Gonna throw like quick gas off for myself. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
Ever since switching to main AR, my chances of it being in my year has gone up.
But yeah, the game did look good. I'm super hyped for it from what I've seen. I think it's already. I personally, I mean, like I said, I want to play it first before I give like super opinions of it. But it looks to be already better and more promising than fucking IW or Modern Warfare throughout the entirety of the year. So, and it's not haven't even come out yet. So yeah, thank God. Yeah, but that's all I'll touch on Cold War for now. It looks good, so that's good. But COD kind of looks good every year at the same time. So I want to play
Except for MW.
it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Shout out Royal Outbreak. Follow me and Matt on Twitter. Follow our Twitches too. I will put literally every single ounce of social media in the description below. If you want to give us a follow and show us some love, please, it'd be much appreciated. Yeah, Matt, closing words.
I I really don't have any. I would say something about Lethal, but I don't have anything to say about Lethal really.
Okay.
Other than they're still looking for a CS team for season 35.
But that's gonna be it for the Father Son Cast. Appreciate you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next Father Son Cast. See ya.